Amos's Sweater by Janet Lunn, illustrations by LaFave. Amos was old, and Amos was cold, and Amos was tired of giving away all of his wool. One summer day, when Aunt Hattie went out to the pasture with her big clipping shears, Amos balked. "Bah!" he cried. He butted Aunt Hattie and ran away. "Amos, stop!" shouted Aunt Hattie. "Stop, Amos!" But Amos did not stop. Aunt Hattie ran after him. She chased him around and around the meadow. She chased him up and down the hillside and across the brook. But Amos was too fast. Uncle Henry had to catch him and hold him down. And then Aunt Hattie clipped his wool. "There now, Amos," she said. "That wasn't so bad, was it?" "Bah!" said Amos. Aunt Hattie gave him an apple to make him feel better. But Amos did not feel better. He was old, and he was cold, and now he was angry. Aunt Hattie washed the wool, she combed it, and she spun it, and then she knitted it into a big, warm sweater for Uncle Henry. "Isn't that fine, Amos?" And she showed him the big, warm sweater. "Bah!" Amos snatched at the sweater with his teeth. Every time Uncle Henry wore his sweater and Amos saw, he bit it. There were always Amos holes in it that Aunt Hattie had to mend. One hot day, when Uncle Henry left the sweater on the fence, Amos tried to pull it down. It stuck fast, and he made such a huge hole in it that Aunt Hattie came after him with a stick. Aunt Hattie mended the huge hole. She washed the sweater and hung it to dry. Amos waited for her to go back into the house, and then he made a jump for it, but the line was too high. One night, Uncle Henry left the sweater on the table in the back kitchen of the house. The door was open. The moon was full. Amos could see the sweater from his stall in the barn. He butted the stall door. He shoved it. He butted it. He shoved it. He butted and shoved until the door flew open. He dashed across the barnyard into the back kitchen. He yanked the sweater off the table. Furiously, he pulled it this way and that. The end of yarn caught in his hoof. He pulled and twisted to get it loose. He tugged, he twisted, he bit. He rolled around on the floor. And the more he struggled, the tighter the yarn wound round him. And soon he was so tangled that you couldn't tell which was yarn, which was sweater, and which was Amos. "Bah!" he cried. "Bah! Bah!" in such rage that Aunt Hattie and Uncle Henry came running to see what had happened. "Oh, Amos, now you've done it," Aunt Hattie sighed. And Uncle Henry laughed. He had begun to unwind the yarn, and Amos glared at both of them with his dark eyes. Free at last, he stood up. His two front legs were deep in the arms of Uncle Henry's sweater, and his head poked out through the top. "You know, Hattie, Amos is old," said Uncle Henry. "And maybe Amos is cold," said Aunt Hattie. And maybe they both said at the same time, Amos is tired of giving away his wool. Now, if you go back to by the farm where Aunt Hattie and Uncle Henry live, you will see the sheep out in the pasture, and there is one standing a little apart, and that is Amos. He is old, but he is not cold, because he is wearing his sweater.